Hey Greggy, hey Mikey, tell the news. We likey, tell it all. Just throw it at the wall. So tell the news, hit the sound, turn the ship around. The news won't move until we burn this mother down. So tell the news, tell it all. Throw it at the wall, bounce it
Read
up
all
the ground.
about it. Read all about it. Sunday papers coming from the Berg, baby.
Nice. I was just talking about Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
I played a little golf this morning with the usual crew.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm terrible with names, but have you played with the woman? She's moving to Pittsburgh, though, but she's been in the group recently.
Love her. She's fantastic.
She's great.
I'm very sad we're losing her.
She was either going to move to Philly or Pittsburgh. I'm thrilled that they landed on Pittsburgh. But
is it
by the way, right near you, though, is that Airbnb from Silence of the Lambs. Remember we talked about that one podcast?
Here in Pittsburgh?
In the Berg, where they shot it, Jonathan Demme used the real exterior for Buffalo Bill's house where he had the basement.
Right.
Where the girl was kept. And so I think it was a Broadway set designer from New York bought the house, restored it to what it looked like in the film, and then even put in, because it didn't really have a basement like that, but they've put in something where, like, it's the top of what looks like, a giant well, I guess, whatever the hell that was.
That's so funny because I went on, I did Jesus Christ. I flew to Pittsburgh yesterday, connecting flights through Chicago, 3-hour delay. I get in at midnight, and then I have to wake up at 4:15 a.m. LA time to go do like an hour and a half radio interview. So I'm trying to take the impetus off me. So I'm doing Doug Loves Movies tomorrow night. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I see you're doing Doug Loves Movies. Do you like doing that show? I go, well, let's do it right now. Why don't you guys, let's play the movies shot in Pittsburgh game. And there was 3 of them. I go, you each go around in a circle, and you have to name a Pittsburgh movie, and whoever can't think of one loses. Do you want to know how many great movies? All right, Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Wow, Silence of the Lambs. Nobody named Silence of the Lambs.
That would have been my first one.
Deer
Fish
Hunter.
That Saved Pittsburgh?
Deer Hunter was my first one.
Fish That Saved Pittsburgh? Was that even shot there?
That was shot here. Slapshot, 1977.
Oh, yeah. Although, they shot that up in Malloy. Malloy visited that, I think. They used the rink up in Hamilton.
Colgate. Yeah, Colgate College. That's right. Fences and Miss Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Bob Roberts, the Tim Robbins movie. Dawn of the Dead. Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is a fucking great movie. I've never seen it.
That's right.
And then The Dark Knight Rises.
Really?
Yeah.
That's Gotham?
Yeah. I guess they shoot a lot of Gotham-looking. The Wonder Boys, did you see that? It's actually based on a book by a Pittsburgh author who I love named Michael Chabon. Wonder Boys. And then... I
never saw Wonder Boys, somehow.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Not to mention, was there was a Tom Cruise movie called like All the Right Stuff, or was it
All the Right Moves?
All the Right Moves.
Oh yeah. And there was a plant that he worked at or whatever.
Yep.
A mill or whatever the hell it was. Well,
anyway.
Taps was shot the other side of the state in Philly.
Right. Well, Rocky.
With Tom Cruise.
Yeah. All right. So I get to the airport. I'm going through airport security yesterday, and I come out of my TSA line, and I bump into this woman who's got a very small dog in her hand. And I go, oh, excuse me. And she goes, yeah, excuse me. And then I walk like 3 steps, and she goes, you're so cute. And I go, thank you. And I turn around and I go, oh, you're talking to the dog, aren't you? She's like, yeah, I was talking to the dog. I go, well, I'm taking it anyway.
That is either the funniest or saddest or most heartwarming. I can't decide where that story lands.
Yeah. Well, I did look cute. I had on my little Adidas matching sweatsuit.
Oh, I'm sure that looked cute. Was it maroon?
No, I have a maroon one. This was my blue one.
It reminds me, and forgive me those who have heard it, I've told it on the podcast, but a while ago. And I just did Kilborn's podcast, so it made me think of it. But I was in Costco, and Kilborn would put me on air. I was on air like almost every night. That was 5 nights a week on CBS, back when people watched late night.
And you got paid every time you went on. You got like $700, right?
Every single time. It was crazy.
On top of your salary. Little fucking
Although when it was
tip.
when it was unscripted, I was not paid, but I think I got an something maybe for appearing. Anyway, I'm in Costco, and the guy goes, "Oh, I miss Kilborn." I'm like, "Oh," I go, "Thanks." And actually, I was with you at Ellen at this time. And I'm like, "Oh man, that's nice of you to say." He's like, "Yeah, you know." And what is he doing? I'm like, I know. He's this. And anyway, we're talking for a while. He's like, "Yeah, like, you know." He's like, he would do a lot of experimental stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I'm like, well, you know, I'm at Ellen now. And so, you know, you're not going to be seeing any more of me." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, leaving. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm at Ellen now. I'm no longer, so I'm not going to be, you know, in the hall or on air or whatever anymore." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm like, what? And then I look down, and I'm wearing a Kilborn t-shirt. And he has no idea who I am.
That's hilarious.
And he's like, oh, wait. He goes, "Were you on?" I'm like, no. And then I like just want. I'll just hurry out with my 6 pounds of pine nuts, please. Thank you.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so let's.
Kilborn says hi. He's
he does.
Yeah, he wanted to talk all about the roast, but he knows what I'm up to and everything.
Yeah,
I had a good time on his zooming on his podcast.
Yeah, I'm down here with Sarah Tiana. She's doing. Speaking of the roast, she wrote on the roast. She's doing this show with me tonight. We're doing this theater, some comedy festival.
Nice.
God, she knows a lot about sports. We were on morning radio together, and like they brought up some new Pittsburgh pitcher, and she's like, "Yeah, well, now that he's got a 4th and a 5th pitch, I think he can go deeper into the stretch." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, she has a sports podcast
on ESPN. Well, she's got it with what's his name, the biggest guy in sports.
Biggest guy in sports?
Dave Damashek.
Oh. And I love Damashek. Damashek, we worked on the sports show pilot together. He's
Paul
in the whole
Skeens is the pitcher.
Kimmel camp and everything, yeah.
All right, let's get to the logo. Craig Godet made it's a little gay. What I don't like is that I seem to be the bottom in this picture, and you seem to be pretty happy about it.
Well, what's my other hand doing? So it's Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
And Greg is in the foreground with what looks like a pretty startled facial expression.
Yeah.
And I've run up behind you, and I'm hugging you with my chin on your shoulder, and we're both looking forward into the lens.
Yeah.
But boy, my other hand looks very busy.
Yeah.
Which would explain your expression. And I'm very serene and happy.
Let's just say if I have a prostate issue, you are aware of it in this photo.
Yes, I have a firm grip on the situation.
Song this week comes
I've got
from
a handle on it.
Jane S., who we love. She does a lot of logos for us, and she's doing some music. This one
Thank
is
you, Jane.
Hauntingly catchy tune. Corrections. Oh, boy, did we get hit this week with corrections.
We?
Yeah, me. I got hit with corrections.
I haven't read them, but I'm just guessing.
You mentioned
I've already corrected you just now.
You mentioned an episode of MASH where a helicopter explodes and kills the general. I believe you were referring to Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake heading home, but his plane is shot down by enemy fire. It's funny because the guy that replaced him I thought was even better.
I think that happened twice on MASH.
And then Rob Soulier says, honestly, I don't know how anyone pursues any value in what you do say anymore. Some of these people really come at me hard. I counted 3 wrong things you mentioned this past Sunday. It's called Showtime. It wasn't. It's Jerry Buss. It wasn't. Biden walked off to nowhere. He didn't. You saw a doctored video. Yeah, I gotta apologize. I don't know if I have to apologize for it, but I saw a doctored video. We all saw this now. He was at a bunch of people had parachuted, but he was in fact looking at some other people that were out of the frame and giving them a thumbs up. And they cut the frame to make it look like he was a fucking lunatic. And I bought it. And you know what? There's a lot of those going around now. There are so many fake videos that I'm just not going to believe anything I see from now on.
Well, I'm glad they did edit that, because what really happened was he just squatted down and defecated right on stage. So I'm glad he looked like just clueless and walking around. Did you see the clip someone put together? I think you did. You're on the text chain of Jaws.
No, I sent that to you.
Oh, it's so good.
About like Trump's rant about the electric boat.
Yeah, with the battery versus the shark, and if you go in the water. And they put it in Quint's speech about the USS Indianapolis, I believe. And they just replaced it. But it was also finessed. Like they timed it so like his looks to the other guys like were perfect in perfect places. It was just really well done.
I got to learn how to take an Instagram video that I see and put it into my Instagram. You know, it can't be hard to do. I know how to send it to people, but I don't know how to post it on my own account. Maybe Chris can show me that later.
What little I know about it, I'm terrible at it, but I know there's a, send to your stories when you press the arrow.
You can?
You could do, yeah.
Oh, all right. I'll do that.
Well, but I think they have to have a setting that allows you to do that.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm sure Chris can figure it all out, as well as why my battery's dying on my recorder. Brian in Madison said, Bob Patterson wanted me to tell you it's J.K. Rowling, not Rawlings. He was losing his shit over that one. Take it easy. He's referring to Bob Patterson, our most anal corrector. Tom Russell said Christian nationalism is the term you're looking for on Sunday papers. Make sure to bring that up. We will bring it up later when we talk about the 10 Commandments in Louisiana.
Christian nationalism. Oh, boy.
Tour dates. I'll be on the Joe Rogan Experience on August 13th. My special comes out, I believe, August 12th, but that may change by a day or two. I'm going to be doing a YouTube Live interaction leading up to the release, and you guys can watch it with me. Denver, I'll be at the Comedy Works August 29th through the 31st. Austin at the Mothership September 6th through 8th. Alaska in Fairbanks September 25th through the 28th. San Francisco Punchline in December. Got a quiet October and November right now. We got some dates we're going to put out. Oh, God, I forgot to look up if we have an ad for this week. Why don't you freestyle for a second, Mike, while I pull up the ad
you can bring the koozies up here since it's kind of the business area. Okay. So the koozies are arriving. Today is Friday. The koozies are arriving, I think, Monday. So I apologize for the delay, and we're going to get them out.
All right. Well, that sounds good.
Including to our winners of the caption contest.
Oh, right. I just sent you another one of those today.
Okay.
So
well, we're gonna make good on that stuff.
520. Oh, this is 6. 617. 10, 617. Okay, we got a game time read we got to do. Hold on.
Yeah, buddy.
All right,
Let
Chris,
me tell
you're
you
gonna
a thing
have
or two about game time.
Yeah. Chris, you're going to have to edit this. I got to pull up the ad.
Why? I'll just riff while you pull it up. We're doing live stuff here.
All right, do it.
Los Angeles, man. Let me tell you a thing or two about who is that? I'm on the Game Time app, and I don't even know who this. V. Have you ever heard of V? How out of it am I?
Who's V?
V is at the Honda Center. And you could go for $31. I bet it's going to drop down. But I'm on Discover, which is my favorite part of the Game Time app where I see what's going on in town.
Oh,
Megan Thee Stallion tonight. Crypto.com Arena, $106. That's going to go down.
Do you
Angels
think
at
Grindr has a
Dodgers.
Discover section as well?
Who?
Grindr?
I don't know. I think it knows what you want. I don't think there's much discovery. People know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Doubtfire, where is that? The Pantages Theater. Did you know Mrs. Doubtfire was made into a play?
There's nothing new on Broadway, and there's nothing new in the theaters. Everything is borrowing, begging, and stealing from whatever was successful in the past.
The Earthquakes are at LAFC. Those are $40. That's tomorrow at 7:30. Anyway.
Well, listen, the main thing is don't get stressed out about buying tickets because sometimes you wait too long, sometimes you buy too early, and now with Game Time, you can find that sweet spot. Keep an eye on things. Watch the price go down and then swoop in. There's killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, low
Flash
price
deals,
guarantee.
Zone deals, all-in pricing, which I always tell you is my favorite thing about it. No guesswork on how much the fees are going to add up to.
The app is super sweet. Couple of taps, you got it right in your phone. No downloading, no transferring, no printing. It's super easy. Save up to 60% off buying for last-minute sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And,
Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PAPERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PAPERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute deals, lowest price
guaranteed. Okay, let's go to the front page.
I got some soft paper here.
Oh, listen to that.
Extra! Extra! Read all about it! Extra!
Oh, boy. We coincidentally were talking about the Ten Commandments last week.
That's right. That's right.
Here you go. Louisiana is requiring all public classrooms to display the Ten Commandments. This has been tried over and over. They've also had like sculptures of it outside of courthouses that have, of course, been taken down. And so they're sort of psyched to get sued because what they'd love to do, Louisiana, is run this up to the Supreme Court, which they think is more going to view it more favorably than they have in the past because of who the Supreme Court is loaded with now. So anyway, Governor Jeff Landry said, if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses. Side note, and I hope he doesn't find this out, Moses was a Jew who went to hell. So good luck with that once you put that together. In 1980, the Supreme Court ruled in Stone versus Graham that the First Amendment prohibits public schools from posting the Ten Commandments. But under Louisiana's new law, starting next year, the Ten Commandments shall be displayed on a poster or framed document that is at least 11 inches by 14 inches with large, easily readable font. The problem, nothing is easily readable in Louisiana, which has a 72% literacy rate.
Is that right?
Yes. Only 15%, and also only 15% know what 72% means. So anyway, Forrest Gump is going to read the commandments for them because he's a smart man, Jenny.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about this, and I think the New Orleans Saints alone will sink this ship. I mean, these are Saints fanatics. And let me just go through the commandments and how they will be broken by Saints fans. Okay, number one, no gods before me. They think Drew Brees is a god. Number two, no false idols. How about the Saints cheerleaders? You're not distracted and worshiping the Saints. Number three, no cursing. No taking the Lord's name in vain, except when there's an interception. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Well, that only applies on bye weeks and the off season, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Honor your mother and father. And here's a quote from ESPN. His mother died, Drew Brees' mother. Relations between Drew Brees and his mother were strained at times, and the quarterback asked her to stop using his picture in TV commercials, touting her candidacy for a Texas appeals court seat in 2006. She later committed suicide with them not speaking.
That's also a sin.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill. What about murder them? Murder them!
Also, his mom killed herself.
Oh, right. Number 7, adultery. Well, Joe Horn, the famous Joe Horn, fathered Willie Roth, who was his teammate's wife's child. Also, their coach, Sean Payton, cheated on his wife, and she left him. That just happened. Thou shalt not steal. Steal the ball. Obviously, you want to steal the ball. Number 9, do not bear false witness. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a guy in the opposing bleacher seat screaming from 100 yards away, that was interference! Thou shalt not covet. Yeah. All they want is another Super Bowl. They wish they had a better kicker. Sports is all about coveting.
Of course.
All right. That was my little piece. That was my little...
As if Louisiana... By the way, I saw a picture of the guy, the governor, this guy, Landry. I believe he had a Rolex on, which if you're a real, scholar of the Bible, like that flies in the face of a lot of the teachings of the Bible.
Yeah.
So also Louisiana's nearly 1 in 4 Louisiana children live below the federal poverty line. And this bill, this is the thing you're championing. That's not going to fix that.
Right. But
and don't you already have laws? Do you have laws in Louisiana that cover all of this?
But also, like the first one, you shall have no other gods before me. It's literally saying there's only one religion. How does that not fly in the face of separation of church and state? It's insane.
And the 10 Commandments are a joke. The first 4 are the selfish God just talking about himself.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, truly.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. So anyway.
All right. Let's get to 83 years after leaving her master's program at Stanford University, 105-year-old Virginia Ginger Hislop returned to earn her degree, proving it's never too late to get an education. Her journey began in 1936 at Stanford's University School of Education, where she pursued a degree in education. She graduated in 1940 and promptly embarked on obtaining her master's degree in education to fulfill her ambition of becoming a teacher. Quote, I thought it was one of those things I could pick up along the way if I needed, and I always enjoyed studying, so that wasn't really a great concern to me, and getting married was. So she stopped. So according to this article, they fucking gave her credits, her bachelor credits from 1936. And now she's going to teach now? Can you see her in front of the classroom? Welcome, class. Hopefully nobody brings chicken pox or the measles to class today. And today we're going to learn about eugenics. Now, if you take 2 healthy white people and you breed them, psychology class is just a lab experiment where you do lobotomies. Like that's psychology.
Used to work.
Astronomy is just going to be about how great Pluto is, how it's the best planet. And don't forget, boys, get out and vote.
Right.
I think there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a substitute teacher second semester.
Yeah. Well, she also wanted to finish her thesis. She's going to teach history, and it's called The Third Reich and Germany's Beautiful Future. So I wonder how she's going to finish that.
Yeah.
She might want to pivot.
Everybody write an essay on that. Teacher, you forgot to give us homework. Oh, yeah, and to put on your pants. Michigan State Representative Neil Frisk was arrested early Thursday morning after Lansing police responded to a report of gunshots and allegedly found him chasing a stripper and firing a weapon. Well, Yosemite Sam is alive and well in Michigan.
Wow.
His arrest stems from allegations that he sexually assaulted an exotic dancer. Frisk was cuffed around 2:45 a.m. On Windbreak Lane, the street where public records show he owns a home. He got a felony level offense. On his own block. Don't molest and shoot where you eat.
Did he think this whole thing through? So, like, let's say you shoot her. Then what? Are you just going to, like, rub against her? Like,
Right.
what was going on exactly?
Yeah. A dead stripper can't give you a lap dance.
No.
And by the way, how do you get so mad at a woman who's literally taking her clothes off and dancing for you? That only makes me, I'm more kind to a stripper than any other woman on the planet. I'm just so thankful.
A dead stripper is only good to work like one more day, right? Maybe two. So
Well-
here?
Well, you can bungee cord her up to the pole. I mean, that's why they have the pole for 2-day-old strippers.
I just occasionally realize Sophie doesn't hear a word you're saying. She just hears me talking about a dead stripper being good for one more day of work. No context whatsoever. Not even the story.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
I have not been to a strip club in 15 years, maybe.
Probably the same.
I would imagine we were there together. It was one of those Vegas trips with the boys. But I mean, I think this age it's pretty gross to go to a strip club. I think it's unfair to the dancers.
Oh, what am I saying? I was there this year. Because we went to the Jets-Raiders game, and in the parking lot is a Crazy Horse, which has drink specials and like the pregame and all the other games. So we walked across the bridge, and it's truly the closest bar to the stadium.
Okay.
And they know it, and they have like put on. I feel sorry for anybody working there because it's all gigantic screens, and everyone is there just to watch the TVs.
Does Hannah know that you went?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd rather her not.
Okay.
But I definitely could explain it. Like, we literally treated it like a sports bar. It was in the middle of the day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I don't think I'll go again. I think I'm done. Once the strippers are the same age as your daughter, it's like it's kind of weird to still go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And
I would
once-
just
And once you're this old, and once you're as old as their dad.
Yeah. All right. Utah public auditor has been unable to substantiate a single violation of the state's anti-transgender bathroom ban out of over 12,000 complaints. Only 5 reports were deemed plausible enough to investigate, and each inquiry turned up nothing. And by the way, like, why is this? Don't bathrooms have stalls? Like, is it that crazy to to be in a stall next to somebody who's a different sex from you with the door closed?
There's co-ed bathrooms in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, you want to keep somebody from bothering you and get some distance? Take a dump. That's molestation repellent.
Molestation. By the way, 12,000 complaints. I mean, is like one in Utah. Is one trans guy just running like a maniac from bathroom to bathroom?
Well, it's tough with the high heel shoes on when you're 6'2", but maybe.
Also, they all wear magic underwear there. Doesn't that help the whole situation? Doesn't that magically make things easier?
I've been
Less
in
threatening?
I've been in women's bathrooms. I did not go in for sexual reasons. I went in because I wanted to take a dump on a seat that didn't have urine on it.
Except if you really knew what you were talking about, their seats are the worst.
What are you talking about?
They hover. We've talked about this. Their faulty urination system. They hover, and it's like a sprinkler head just is rotating under them, just all over the seat.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, God
It's as if
definitely.
they're hovering. It's as if they jumped up, straddled the top of the stall, and peed 8 feet down.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like when you see a woman. Like, If you go into any gas station bathroom, it's usually, I think, a woman is responsible for the splatter.
Yeah, I think God took a coffee break when they were building the vagina.
Yeah.
It's got some design flaws.
But then he's like, you'll see. It works. You'll see. There's a little magic there.
Students will no longer be able to use their cell phones during the school day at the LA Unified School District.
I love this.
72% of high school teachers said cell phone distraction is a major problem in the classroom. The addiction to phones has hurt their socialization, their mental health, and academic success. They're scrolling during class time. They have their heads in their hands walking down the hallways. They're not talking to each other or playing at lunch or recess because they have their iPods in. Look, let's get them back to doing what they used to do. Bullying the honor students and carving swastikas on the bathroom walls. The old days.
You know, the students like, what are we supposed to do now? Just stare at our guns all day? I can't believe. So I had one girl go to public school here in Santa Monica and the other go to private. The one
was
in
that like an
private-
experiment? Was that like a control group and an experiment group for you to see which one turns out better?
Public school one turned out better.
Yep.
And so meanwhile, the one in private school, texting whenever she wants from class. She's asking me questions. I'm texting back. I'm like, oh, I go, are you on lunch? Or she's like, no, I'm in like physics or whatever it was. It was unbelievable. Like in writers' rooms and on a lot of Zooms, like when you're working, one of the big rules is cell phones down.
Yes.
It's time to work.
I talked to my kids about this the other day, and they said that they were on their phones almost the whole time they were in class. They would put one ear pod in, and then they would put their hand on the side of their head or put a hoodie on. And they were, so many of the teachers just give you an assignment, and then you're supposed to do it for the hour, and they don't do shit. It's a two-way street. If you're a good teacher, you should be able to tell if a student is paying attention, and you should be calling them on that. The problem is the class sizes are fucking so big, they can't really pay attention to every kid that's sitting in the class.
When I taught at USC last semester, they occasionally I would see someone like checking their phone, but generally it was cell phone free. I mean, it was a small group. It was like 10 students. It was kind of more workshop type of class, so there had to be involvement. But I can't imagine being a teacher and looking out and a kid is like enjoying his cell phone.
No, it's ridiculous. People just can't focus anymore.
There he goes. Let me explain what's going on to the listeners. Greg picked up his phone and was distracted.
I am shocked, though. Sometimes I look at my cell phone usage, and it's like 4 hours a day. And I go, I had no idea. If you had asked me how long I was on my phone total, I would have guessed about an hour. 4 hours.
Well, sometimes at night, I'm like proud of myself. I'm getting to bed early. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, what the fuck? It's 12:30. And I've been on my phone just scrolling for an hour or more.
Do you think I have a theory that you have an addiction to the internet. I think that you go down rabbit holes about music a lot.
Yeah. Oh, you should see what I learned about the 10 Commandments. That's how I knew Moses went to hell. Did you know every single person, according to Christians or Catholics, every single human being who died before Jesus died went to hell?
No, not hell. Purgatory.
No, hell.
Nope.
Purgatory. No. And then there was a special, more comfortable. It was kind of like Hell Plus, like Comfort Plus. It was like a Hell Plus, and I learned the name, but I can't retain any information at my age. But it was I forget the area of hell, but like that's where Moses was. It was like a lounge in hell.
Yeah, I guess it would be like being born before people stopped using the N-word, and you just kind of live in the hell of being a racist, but you never really stop. Even if you stop saying it, you don't stop thinking it.
That seems like a stretch, but okay, I'm going to let you say that.
All right, here we go. A first-year poli-sci major at NYU ripped off roughly $51,000 worth of her roommate's pricey possessions, including luxe labels such as Gucci, Chanel, and Bulgari, and then hawked them online for a quick buck. Aurora Agapov, whose Russian mining magnate father Andrei has a net worth of $75 million and counts Putin as a pal, realizes that some of the belongings were missing last month. She became suspicious of her roommate, Caitlin Fung, after finding a receipt in the old Tappan, New Jersey girl's pocketbook. She's not an old New Jersey girl. She's not an old Tappan, New Jersey girl. She's from Old Tappan, New Jersey. She found the receipts in her pocketbook, which, first of all right, hold on. I think NYU made a pretty good roommate placing with these two. She found out because she was rummaging through her roommate's pocketbook.
Well, imagine having $51,000 worth of anything other than cocaine in your dorm room in college.
Yeah. Yeah, or food out of the fridge. So she got suspicious when the roommates started getting bottle service in the dorm room. She's like, "Wait a minute, I thought you were from a farming town."
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently, Fung's body will soon be missing.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Fung, listen, this Tuesday, Fung will think she has a simple rash. She'll try a little cortisone. She's going to try to clear it up. By Friday, half her skin will be gone.
Yeah.
The cortisone is not working. And on Saturday, it is complete organ failure. That's the Russian way. That's how this is going to go down.
And Sunday, Fung's father will be on a plane to Russia to hunt down the killer of his daughter. And it will be a four movie deal.
I think we've already written the first one. I think we got it.
Here we go. Denman wrote in the Moses in Hell discussion, all the righteous were in the limbo of the fathers, limbus patrum, where they remained until in his human soul united to his divine person, the dead Christ went down to the realm of the dead. So I guess Jesus is supposed to go down there and free them and bring them up at some point.
Well, it was funny. The way I read it was like, yes, they kind of all did go to hell because Jesus didn't open heaven. It sounded like a club.
Yeah.
He didn't open heaven until he died. Let's Google this.
So heaven only started 2,000 years ago?
I know, and Moses was like 3,000 years ago. That guy spent so much time in hell.
But so in the Old Testament, there was never a mention of heaven?
I don't know. You know, there's very few mentions of Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, he's not in terms of the whole Bible, both parts.
Well, he's not in the Old Testament at all, dummy.
Right. See? No, I'm just saying in total. All right, hold on. By his death and resurrection, Jesus opened heaven. Prior to that time, all who died went to hell. However, the just went to a place in hell referred to as the bosom of Abraham, where it's kind of like the Milk Club in whatchamacallit? Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
Where they would be comforted. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus seems to indicate that there were two parts of hell. Both Lazarus and the rich man died and went to hell, but Lazarus was comforted in the bosom of Abraham, while the rich man was in a place of torment. Anyway, a great chasm separated the two parts.
And that is why I have avoided getting rich in this lifetime, so that I may ascend into heaven, where Jesus has opened up the greatest nightclub. He was like a Kardashian. He opened it.
And where do we think the governor with his Rolex is going? I have a good guess.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Here we go. Entertainment. Okay, before we get to Timberlake, so Caroline, my niece, recommended Sophie and I watch. We were like looking for something to watch this week. We try to like schedule TV time because I don't have her that long here. Well, we will try to do Furiosa. You cannot even buy Furiosa to stream yet. I guess it's coming out like next week maybe. But we were in the mood for action, so we started watching the new Planet of the Apes. Have you seen those?
No.
They're not great. The first one wasn't bad, but it's lowest common denominator. They hit you over the head with the plot points and all that. But listen, you're seeing talking monkeys, so it wasn't that bad. And then we watched, but Caroline recommended 6. What was the name of it? 6 Schizophrenic Brothers. This documentary, which is not a good documentary, but the subject matter is amazing. A Colorado family had 12 children. They had 10 boys, but they really wanted a daughter, and then the last 2 were daughters. 6 of the brothers developed schizophrenia.
No.
And we did not finish. It gets more and more depressing with each episode. It's one of the it's on Max because I think it was a Discovery. I think it was a Discovery documentary. You could tell where the commercial breaks are. It was made for TV. And it's not well done. It's really repetitive and all that. But, oh, man. It's like a cheap joke, but it is a little all over the place, as schizophrenics can be.
Yeah.
But
the other brother directed
finally, scientists got involved to be like, oh, my God, we could learn from this, like trying to identify the gene and all that stuff.
No, Erin has cousins, and there's 3 of them in the family that are schizophrenic. It's very hereditary.
Well, no spoiler, but some of the schizophrenic brothers were not very kind at home. So anyway, it's something else, that documentary. I'll say that.
I wonder what percentage of homeless people are schizophrenic. I mean, I know it's kind of a spectrum. Like there's different. I'm not an expert, but it's there's degrees of it and there's offshoots of it.
Yeah.
But
no, they could tell with the brothers like which one. They all agree like which one had it the worst.
Yeah.
There are different forms of it. In almost all cases, though, there's audio hallucinations. I guess hearing voices, which are very, very mean to the person, and then tell them to do terrible things.
How come the voices are never nice and tell you to do positive things? Like, you look great. You should volunteer at a soup kitchen. Right.
And then then the other voice is like, no, rape your sister. Don't listen to the soup kitchen bullshit.
You're still good looking, but you should rape your sister.
So, I don't mean to laugh. But I think they do have an answer for that. My guess is that it's rooted in some self-loathing. Oh, this was interesting. When the scientists were talking about it, so first of all, mothers were blamed early on, like for so much mental illness. Like they were really big proponents of nurture being responsible for how we wind up, and they discredited nature. But what I did not know was there are a lot of people who are predisposed to schizophrenia, but a childhood trauma almost guarantees that people who are predisposed will develop it.
I also, I don't know if it's schizophrenia, but kids who chronically smoke pot can develop psychosis, which is, I think, either I think schizophrenia is a type of psychosis. Denman just put this stat down that 16% of the adult homeless population have a severe mental illness, and of that 16%, 10% have schizophrenia. I'm shocked it's that low.
So
I think more than 60% of people with homes have fucking severe mental illness.
Right. I think there's a lot of bipolar people out on the street,
Yeah.
Bipolar people, if unchecked, tend to lose everything.
Yes.
When they're in a state of mania.
Right.
Okay. Let's get to some good, wholesome antisocial behavior. The latest kick to Justin Timberlake's ego. Is that you that wrote this?
Yes. Yeah, you already read your one story. The latest kick to Justin Timberlake's ego when, as Page Six reported, the young cop who arrested him for DWI in Sag Harbor early Tuesday didn't recognize his face or name. Justin said under his breath, "This is going to ruin the tour." The cop replied, "What tour?" Justin said, "The world tour." Okay, sir. Well, you're about to get a world tour of a Long Island drunk tank. How about that?
Why don't you tour along that straight line in the middle of the road for me?
Timberlake looked glassy-eyed in his mugshot, despite allegedly saying he had just one martini before his arrest. It wasn't a big gulp cup.
Yeah.
Indeed, the 43-year-old singer is due to perform in Chicago on Friday and will be at Madison Square Garden. His latest album, however, dropped off the Billboard 200 after just 4 weeks. And then some Hollywood insider said the album tanked, and then he's not getting big acting roles right now. He's got a bad reputation in Hollywood as a bit of a jerk and a pain in the ass.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Same.
I always said he had a good reputation. His wife, actress Jessica Biel, who I fucking love, is said to be extremely upset. Well, yeah.
You know, a friend of ours who will go unnamed but has pretty good intel was convinced Jimmy Fallon was part of this. But a lot of people had that thought, and it turns out it doesn't look like he did.
No, Fallon was out of town. He was in New York City. They were taping a series of live shows for the Tonight Show, so he couldn't have been there. But apparently they're really best buds out in the Hamptons together.
Yeah, and the drinking.
Man, this reminds me of when I wrote on a certain show for a certain daytime female talk show host. We were in the writer's room one day, and I said something disparaging about Justin Timberlake, and the room went cold, and she looked at me, and she goes, "You know that I'm a fan of Justin Timberlake's, right?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know a writer's room was a place where everybody fell in line with one opinion based on the host." I thought comedy came out of like discussion and jabs and insults and going back and forth and laughing. I didn't know that the whole narrative of one person needs to be reflected in the minds of everybody in the room. It was fucking psychotic.
Not that I'm proud of it, but I guess I am. But I was the one who suggested putting Timberlake. Remember when he was in the gingerbread costume?
No.
There was a big reveal.
What are you talking about? Classic Ellen bits now?
Yeah, man. Highlight reel. Timberlake. I like Timberlake. I also think he's a very good actor.
He is a good actor.
I'm not saying I couldn't Bring Sexy Back. I know that, but I really couldn't sing along.
When it comes to artists
maybe
like
I know
him
a couple
and
of songs.
Taylor Swift, I listen because I see that they're popular. I just don't feel anything. I don't I know his music has kind of got some little funk to it. It's danceable, but I don't know. I don't get excited about it. It's not, they're no Krungbin. They're getting very big. Have you noticed? They're kind of blowing up right now.
No, they've been big, yeah, especially on the festival circuit and stuff. No, yeah, Timberlake's kind of like the white Jamiroquai. That's what I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to go with.
Oh, Jamiroquai is huge in Ireland. I just hung out with an Irish guy.
Really?
Who has no legs, and he says that Jamiroquai is huge in Ireland.
We won't do a dancing joke.
Nope.
Let's make America Florida. A Florida man is accused of trying to burglarize a closed bank while wearing a mask that he purchased at a nearby gas station. According to the release, a man later identified as 33-year-old Colton Vencham of Hobe Sound. Looks like it should be Hope, but anyway, Hobe Sound was caught on a gas station video purchasing a mask. He then went across the street where he walked through the bank's unlocked doors and started opening drawers and cabinets, but they were empty. So basically, this is a story of a Florida man who robbed a bank that had no money.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
There's a sign that Florida's economy has shit the bed. The drawers are empty. By the way, the headline of this story is that there's a place in Florida still selling masks.
That is a headline.
Yeah.
And why were the bank's doors unlocked? I mean, obviously they weren't protecting anything, but that's a little weird.
Well, you never know. You got to ask Florida Man. Florida Man seems to know what's open. You know, they just, I think they check every door. By the way, I left my doors unlocked the other night in Venice. I parked my car on the street, and every single time I forget to lock my doors, my glove compartment is open and my shit's thrown all over the place. Every time. It's like people are just walking down the street checking doors.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, I know. Imagine if your golf clubs were in there or
No, that's
something
why
more valuable. But I'm trying to think what would be more valuable that you could leave in your car. Kid?
I want it. Well, you know, you could leave Ray-Ban sunglasses in there. Some people do that. I don't leave shit. I leave nothing. And then, you know, I really want to get a nice car. I want to get a Mustang. I've always wanted to get a Mustang, but I can't park it on the street in Venice.
Right.
I turn my garage into a fucking bonus room, so I can't park in there.
It would have to be very clean. Then it could be kind of cool.
What? The bonus room?
But the Mustang in that indoor room.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, maybe this guy was visiting Florida. It sounds like a Florida man would be more resourceful than this. Or at least when he didn't find money, he'd burn the bank down.
Yes.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. A little tricky. Oh, by the way, Florida, I read this article, is in a lot of trouble. So a big part of Florida with the new sort of weather and the storms that are battering them, and, you know, insurance companies are no longer insuring. Florida has a real insurance crisis on its hands. So one of the big things is the erosion on the beach. So the state has to replenish the sand. And to do that right now, there's a standoff on the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, the first storm as we speak is entering the Gulf of Mexico.
Already?
So, yep, it's early.
Jesus.
So, they need easements, and they need the people in the homes to give a little bit of easement to the government so they can go on and like replenish the sand hills. And the homeowners are like, go fuck yourself.
Even though it's their beach?
Even though it's their beach. So there's this standoff where, and it's probably like paranoia, like I'm implying, where they don't want the government to have like an easement. I don't know if like they need the easement. Maybe we'll get corrections on this. I don't know if they need the easement technically to replenish the sand, but whatever it is, that's the condition that they've put forward. And it's like a strip of an easement. That's it, between their house and the ocean. And the homeowners are like, not a chance. So the beaches aren't getting replenished with sand.
Yeah, that's a whole thing on. Wait, hold on. Let me turn this off. That's a whole thing on like the Jersey Shore, all the way down the Atlantic coast. So much sand gets pulled out to sea. I think it's the Army Corps of Engineers that comes in every year.
It is.
And they just pump sand with these expensive machines back on. And it's just like, you know, it can't last. They can't keep spending this kind of money. It's insane. By the way, the insurance thing has hit California. I know you're a renter. I got a call or a letter from Allstate saying that they dropped our insurance because there was a tree limb hanging over our house that they saw from a drone shot. And it was like, all right, first of all, why are you looking at my house with a drone shot? Second of all, the limb hanging over my house is about 6 inches in diameter. And so I said, are you guys, are you just dropping? The lady goes, yeah, we're dropping everybody in California. She was kind of cool, and she just admitted it. Nobody has insurance in California on their homes anymore.
And they're like, sir, you may want to get that callus on your penis checked out. We saw into your bathroom window.
Callus, that's my thumb.
My dad is dropping his insurance on his Florida place. No longer because he owns it outright, and he's just dropping it because he, first of all, thinks if a storm hits there, insurance won't pay. You know, his stepson already burned down his house, and insurance tried to get out of that like crazy. He had to sue them.
Yeah.
And that was in normal times in a open and shut case of one house that was affected by fire. I mean, if they get hit. So anyway, the building has insurance. He used to be the head of the board of the building. And I don't know if it's the right decision, but the rates went up so much, it didn't seem worth it to him.
Yeah, so we found another insurer, but it's 3 times as much money as we were paying before.
Well, you would have to get it, though, if you had a mortgage, right?
If you owe more than 80%, if your loan is bigger than 80% of the value of the house, once it goes under that amount in equity, you no longer have to pay that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was that high, 80. I would think it was like once you cross 50% or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's make Texas, Florida. This is my favorite story of the week. Family of Taekwondo teachers jumps into action to save Texas woman being sexually assaulted. Katy, Texas. They were coming back from lunch around 4 p.m. Tuesday. Simon, Ann, A-N, 20, said they heard screams at a Cricket Wireless store next to their business. The second scream, yeah, we knew it was like a cry for help, he said. When they opened the doors to the store, 22-year-old Hannah Ann said they saw something horrible. I saw a man on top of a woman, and the woman was on the ground. She said, after that, it took only a moment for their father, Grandmaster Han-An, to grab the suspect and take him down. Han-An held the suspect in a corner, continuing to hold him down. Simon An and his younger brother, 18-year-old Christian An, also stepped in to help, while Hannah Ann and her mom, Hong An, took the victim to the family's dojo, making sure that she's okay because she needed that after that experience, after that situation happened out of nowhere, Hannah Ann said. And when the deputies arrived, the suspect, a 19-year-old, was still pinned to the floor by the Grand Master, Hannah Ann.
Wow. Thank God some people continue doing Taekwondo after the age of 11.
How is there not one gun in this Texas story? It's
right.
I kind of don't believe it's true.
Yeah. And also, who's to say that woman wasn't just having an orgasm? What if these Koreans are just running around breaking up good, solid, consensual sex?
Yeah. Also, it doesn't matter what's going on. Anytime you walk into a Cricket Wireless store, you are going to see something horrible. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
But I think Marvel has their new superhero franchise. I want to see this family.
The Anns.
Beamed up to some spaceship or in a layer on top of a mountain, and they're just put to work, vigilante style.
By the way, Taekwondo is the hardest martial art to actually use against somebody in a fight. It's all just like, I think they call them pumses. It's like a series of kicks and strikes, and like the actual combat, you're way better off with jiu-jitsu or judo or something like that. So good for them.
I think his family might have been looking for a fight. I don't know.
I think so.
All right, let's go sports. Oh, the Celtics. Dickie was at the game. And I sat with...
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And I sat with my brother-in-law, George, who you know is incredibly superstitious. Forget it when Argentina plays in the World Cup. He was born in Argentina. Anyway, we went over there when they were... This is the best part. Sophie and I were going over there. And we get there, I'd say, about halfway through the second quarter, and Sophie comes in and she goes, hey, I heard they're winning. They were up by 20 points or 17. And Sophie goes, hey, I heard they're winning. And he goes, no, not by enough.
Is he a Celtics fan?
Oh my God, worships them.
Okay.
He grew up with Lionel Messi and Larry Bird posters on his walls.
So, yeah, I know Dickie is a huge fan. Obviously, he's from Boston. I was so psyched he was back there. And, Yeah, I mean it was great. I'm more obsessed with Edmonton right now with the Oilers, who were down 3-0, and then they came back in Florida in Game 4 and won 9-1, and then won the next game in Florida, and now they're back in Edmonton tonight. Well, we're taping this on Friday, so by Sunday we'll know whether or not they are out. Because right now it comes down to this. Edmonton wins 2 games, they win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
They lose one game, they're out.
Is it 1-1? Well, what is the schedule? Is it 1-1?
No, it's 2-2-2.
No, I mean, both games are in Edmonton?
Yeah. I believe, I don't know. It used to be 2-3-2, and now I think it's like 2-2-2.
I'm looking it up, but oh my God. Connor, what's his name? Holy
McDavid.
shit.
He's incredible. He's got like 9 points in the last 2 or 3 games.
Broke Gretzky's playoff record.
Broke the record for most points in a playoff by a lot now. Now he's beat it by like 3 or 4 points, and he's got at least 1 more game left, maybe 2 games left, maybe 3 games left.
No,
Wait,
so
3?
So
no, 2 would be the most.
Game 6 at Oilers. Game 7 is Monday night if it goes to 7 at Florida.
Oh, they go 1-1 after that, huh?
Yeah, so, but I would really like to, I want to watch tonight's game.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Also,
God, that highlight of him splitting through, the highlight was that I saw was in super slow motion, and it was like he was moving at twice the speed the defenders were. It was it was like watching Jordan go through, guys. It was crazy.
Well, he's known for accelerating once he gets the puck. Other guys, you're turning, you're looking, you slow down. He accelerates, and he just goes through traffic. He draws all the defenders to him, and then he just crosses it in front of the net, and there's always a guy wide open. And he's amazing. He's such a generous player. He's actually like Messi in the same way. It's like you're lucky to be on the front line with him because you're going to be fed so many great scoring opportunities.
Gretzky's one of my. I don't think I've ever talked about it on here, and I won't do it now. But he's one of my favorite, like, holy shit stories about athletes. Like, his statistics are mind-boggling.
No, I would say of any athlete in any sport, he is the most quantifiably GOAT of any athlete in any sport. Is that fair to say?
I do view him as the biggest outlier. I really do. And
I mean,
of course,
all
I'm
the big
thinking of
records
Jordan.
are out of people's touches. He owns all the big ones by a lot.
No, there's historical stats about it. Like, he and his brother. Yeah, I guess his brother played for a little, and his brother has like 2 assists or whatever. But if you combine them, they're the top 2. And his brother
really?
contributed like a handful. Yeah, there's some really funny meme about that.
Right.
But one day, hopefully we don't have to wait till his obituary, but one day we should break down, because there are great arguments of who is more dominant, Jordan or him or maybe someone else. But it's really hard. Like, some ESPN guys have broken down what Jordan would look like if he had Gretzky's dominance.
Yeah.
And it's a different Jordan than the one that exists right now.
Well, Gretzky took with him 61 NHL records, single season marks of 92 goals, 163 assists, 215 points. So those are obviously the 3 biggest records you can have in hockey. A point streak of 51 games is a record, 894 career goals, 2,857 career points, 15 seasons of 100 or more points, 13 of those consecutive.
But there was some stat, maybe it was assist, where it was kind of like, what was it, the 3-minute mile or whatever? Like, it was one of those, like, you never thought would be surpassed, and he doubled it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I told you in that dinner that Kilborn brought me to with Reggie Miller. So it was the three of us at Mastro's, and and we had that bet, which I've talked about on the podcast before. I told him he's going to get a standing ovation his last time in Madison Square Garden. He said, I didn't understand. I'm like, you don't understand. And the story I told to Reggie Miller that night is, I'm like, listen, I was this diehard Ranger fan, and Gretzky came into town when he was with the Kings, I believe, and the Rangers had a power play. Gretzky got the puck and skated around it had to be over a minute, and they couldn't get the puck away from him. It was the craziest booing ever. And then when Gretzky was then coming off the ice, standing ovation.
Because
we had just seen greatness.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, let's not talk about sports anymore because people fucking hate it when we talk about sports. We should
Caitlin
mention
Clark,
Katie. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, she's on reserve now for the Olympics. But this is the thing. We would make fun of the WNBA and obviously the game time, when they had $1 and $2 tickets for their games. And by the way, and with game time, that's with all the fees. That's with all the fees. It's $2 for a ticket. So anyway, oh God. So anyway, now I think they've latched on to a new strategy that has even us talking about the WNBA, and that's a race war. And I think it's a very smart move. It's like black women beating the shit out of her. And I think they're like fostering it, quite honestly.
Yeah. I know. It's pretty crazy. She's getting fucking hacked. And also, they argue about whether to put on the Olympic team. All right, here's the thing. You and I are on a podcast right now talking about the WNBA. So what do? Don't put her on the Olympic team. Let's bury the biggest story in women's basketball of all time. Let's try to keep a low profile while we complain we're not getting paid as much.
I know. I think they're trying to do the right thing. But
it's not the right thing. You put the headliners in there. They don't have to be the best players. You think the Dream Team was all the best players in the NBA? No, they put the big names out there.
They did, but I mean, there was a lot of controversy over the Dream Team and who got in and who didn't. Wasn't it like Christian Laettner over Shaq, right? And also Isaiah Thomas made it, didn't he?
I don't know.
No. Oh, Jordan didn't like him. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there was a lot of bullshit with the Dream Team. A lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and should it come down to personalities and a popularity contest? I mean, the Olympics are supposed to be pure, Greg.
Yeah, they're supposed to be pure, but the bottom line is it was a sport that was started in ancient Greece. Like, somebody told me that what's the event with 5 events in it? The
pentathlon?
Yeah, the pentathlon was based on a guy delivering a message, and he had to run a certain distance, he had to swim, he had to ride a horse, he had to shoot an arrow in order to deliver the message.
He had to throw a hammer.
Oh, and he had to fight. And I think there's a fight involved or something. I forget what all 5 of the events are.
I cannot wait for the corrections next week.
Well, Chris could be putting them in right now. What is it, Chris?
No, Chris Denman says God's way prevailed with the Dream Team, and Christian Laettner and John Stockton were in before Isaiah got in, and Shaq.
Yes, and he loves the fact that the guy was named Christian. He thinks that anybody... All right, so... Oh, no, that's a different...
I think you're thinking of the messenger who ran 26.2 miles to marathon or from
Sarah
marathon.
Tiana just told me this story at 6 o'clock this morning, so I don't remember it all, but this sounds different than what she was saying. Anyway, enough. The breakdancing will be the Olympics. I mean, come on. Meanwhile, no paddle tennis. Well, and they took Taekwondo out, by the way, this year for the first time.
Croquet used to be in it, but why aren't more people talking about why isn't rugby?
Rugby's not?
I don't think so.
Would it? Oh my God, that's insane.
That is insane. Okay, what do you want to do? International? Are we moving forward?
What are we doing on time? How are we doing? Let's move
Why don't we do
down.
this day in history?
We have a lot of people that wrote in for the. Well, let's do the obituaries.
No, how about this day in history?
Oh, right. So let's do it.
Although I'll say it is the most boring day in history ever, so we're not going to do many.
Pick the next day.
No, I already did that.
Oh.
Like I have Wilma Rudolph was born. Aaron Spelling died. Who cares? American inventor.
By the way, he fucked his kids.
Okay, how about this?
Tori Spelling's broke, by the way. Do you know that?
No, her father didn't leave her anything, right?
No.
American inventor Christopher Latham Scholes and 2 others were granted a patent for the typewriter, Greg.
Ooh.
On this date, give or take 30 years, what year was this?
The typewriter. I'm going to say 1680.
You were almost 200 years off. 1868.
No! Get the fuck out of here.
You don't have to
Really?
yell at me. Yeah. You're attacking me.
Jesus. I'm so angry about that.
Yeah, I can tell by the high-pitched girl voice. Okay, let's see. Football player.
A Korean
Lionel...
family, a Taekwondo family just broke into my hotel room to save me.
They saw something very disturbing. So, football player Lionel Messi. We talked about him. He was born in Argentina on this day in what year? Give or take 4. I'm going to be generous. 4 years. That's an 8-year window I'm giving you.
Okay, I'm going to
Actually,
say...
it's a 9-year. It's a 9-year window.
All right, I'm going to say 1987.
Did you just Google it?
No.
He was born in 87.
No shit. No, I guessed that he was about 38 years old, and I did the math.
I don't think your math is right, but you nailed it. Nailed it.
37 years old. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay. John Cabot became the first, this is going to set up our Hager. John Cabot became the first European to set foot in North America since the Vikings. Give or take 30 years. What year was this?
Well, Columbus was 1492. People argue that Ponce de Leon may have come first. So I'm going to guess this guy came in 1420.
I don't know how this is correct. It's 1497.
But I thought, wasn't Columbus 1492? He sailed the ocean blue?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
First European. Huh. Okay.
Are they considering Columbus?
He was Portuguese, right? It was
well, maybe they're considering him African because he's Italian. I don't know. I don't know what went on there. But I like my explanation. I think you know. Do you know the year that Michael Jackson died?
I would guess that he died in...
I know when it was.
Well, give me a range.
No, I'm going to give you... if I give you one year, that's a 3-year range, right? I'm going to give you plus or minus a year.
That's it? What am I, a Michael Jackson fanatic? All right, I'm going to guess he died in...
No, all right, 2 years. I'll give you 2. I remember where I was because the job I was at.
2012?
You want a hint?
What?
Same day as Farrah Fawcett. That's not a really good hint.
2012?
No, 9.
2009. Okay.
Okay, here's the last one we'll do because it's a fun one. George Armstrong Custer made his last stand with the 7th Cavalry at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Give or take trying to think what, like, I gave you like a small window on Cabot because I knew you'd go to Columbus. So I'm wondering if you'll know what to go to gauge this. But I'm going to give or take 15 years.
I'm going to say 1870.
1876.
Nice.
How did you get it?
I knew it was after the Civil War.
Exactly. That's what I thought you'd use.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing to me is like, so Michael Jackson 2009, right? For all the listeners out there, although I don't think we have any young listeners, you don't realize how easy it is to remember years. Like the Kurt Cobain, I just know. I know what job I was in. Not too many huge things had happened
92?
in my life.
Was that about 92?
I thought it was 94 or 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but I remember where I was sitting.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's look up Kurt Cobain. But I remember because I was right down the hall was MTV News, and I think I heard it before anyone. No one could believe it. But I mean, I remember where I was in my life, everything.
April 5th, my birthday.
I was right.
1994.
I was right. It was 94. So anyway, and now you get to Michael Jackson. You're right. It's a blur. Like you could, if I didn't know what job I was in, which is the only reason I know is because Tosh.0 was being threatened of being canceled season 1. And I remember we were shooting a Web Redemption and we were airing that night, and that night's ratings meant everything. And all of a sudden a PA goes, look at this. And he shows me his phone and fucking Michael Jackson. And I'm like, that means no one will watch our show tonight.
Yeah. My gauging of it was, I remember in 1990, I was in, he was on Saturday Night Live in 1990. And I remember talking to Anthony Clark about how blown away we were by it. I don't know if it was exactly 90, but so I was thinking, I know it was a few years after that he died.
We're going to obits to bring this down. Here we go.
Do it.
And that's all, folks.
God, we just talked about Cobain and
Keep
Jackson.
this tight because my
did it.
battery's about to die.
Okay, 2 guys died, Donald Sutherland and Willie Mays. We don't have to even go into that much about it, but you know what was really interesting was I think most baseball people who are knowledgeable about baseball, and certainly most of the journalists I read, think Willie Mays is the best all-around baseball player who's ever lived.
No kidding. Really?
Yep. And then ESPN even did a thing and they went back, like he got 2 MVPs, but they're like, MVPs were very different back then. Almost always they gave it to a player who won the pennant. And then they also...
The World Series or the pennant?
There was something else they gave. No, the pennant, at least the pennant, and it could be in either league. And then there was something else. And they go, let's go back, though, and do it by today's criteria. And they think he has 8 MVPs.
No kidding.
And they give the whole rationale why. And they compare it to who won it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And that's all while fighting against the racism that was plaguing him from city to city, staying in different hotels, eating in different restaurants, having people yell the N-word at him, being probably pegged by pitchers from the other team.
Right. And again, the key is all-around player. But even if you take all-around player out of it, 2 years ago, ESPN ranked Mays the 2nd greatest player of all time behind Babe Ruth.
Wow.
Anyway, his catch is like so storied, and they have footage of it. It's called The Catch. But like I found all these quotes. One of the greatest players of all time, Frank Robinson, was asked once if Willie Mays was the best player he'd ever seen. Robinson got that annoyed look on his face and rolled his eyes. Of course he is. You can't exaggerate how great he was. DiMaggio said, quote, Willie Mays is the closest to being perfect I've ever seen. They also say Candlestick Park cost him between 10 and 12 homers a year. And he said, I always thought it cost... Well, it's also the thick air and the fog.
Oh.
Like they say when a home run goes up in that park, even like with Bonds and stuff, when a home run goes up, it doesn't go as far. Like it gets like kind of grabbed.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it also might have been, I don't know what side of the plate and all that stuff. They talk about that. But he thrived there. And then there's the catch, of course. And then there's this other play. I'll just read. This guy Wirtz drove the first pitch just to the right of dead field center. Racing toward the high green boarding with his back to home plate, Mays caught the ball over his left shoulder some 450 feet away. He cupped it like a football player catching a pass, then whirled around and fired to second base, his cap flying off. The throw, as spectacular as the catch, kept Rosen on first. And anyway, so that's great. But then the catch was only one spectacular play by Mays. Another one came at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh in his rookie season. A deep drive hit by the Pirates' Rocky Nelson. Willie whirled around and took off. At the last second, he saw he couldn't get his glove across his body in time to make the catch, so he caught it in his bare hand. DeRocha was flabbergasted. We all were. Nobody had ever seen anything like it.
Amazing.
Yeah, he was just this incredible, incredible guy. Okay. So,
say hey, Willie. Say goodbye,
and then
Willie.
Sutherland. I love Sutherland. I kind of feel I wish he had done more major roles in the last part of his career, but we can talk about that another time. Let's get to the funnies.
All right, so last week we had a new caption for you, and it was basically a woman on a blow-up mattress. The mattress seems to have feet and an arm sticking out of it as if it is lifelike, and walking into the bedroom and looking sad is a regular bed mattress with feet and hands and a face, and the woman looks startled.
I remember I had one in my mind last week when we chose this one.
Dave Dravanak said Matt wasn't surprised that his wife, Matt, get it? That his wife was cheating on him. Inflatable mattresses had a reputation for being unreliable. Brian Reed said, you know the saying, if the headboard's a knockin', he's about to walk in on his wife getting her ass eaten out by an anthropomorphic air mattress.
Wow.
Mark Hazeltine said, nothing happened. You know an air mattress won't stay up. Mark McNutt said, I go away for one extended Memorial Day sale weekend blowout, and this happens. Jason said, Jesus, Marge, the pool float boy? T-Bird Sanchez says, did you just blow that airhead? I had to blow him. What did you want me to do, sleep on the floor?
Yep. I had some about... I think mine was about blowing him.
Okay, these are all from Doug Carroll. Thank God you're home. Sleeping on our stepson was getting awkward. You were gone. I needed the inflatable mattress. I started to blow it up, and one thing led to another. What was I supposed to do while you were gone? Sleep on the couch? You know that creep doesn't pull out. All right, so Doug Carroll with a few.
Look at that one.
Tyler Swain said, when a father comes home only to find that his son is into bestiality. That takes a second, but it's good.
Wait, explain it to me.
Well, he's a mattress, she's a mattress, and, no.
What?
He's a mattress, and she is a woman on a mattress that has legs. So the bed is talking to the inflatable mattress and saying, "Oh, you're into bestiality." Like.
Oh yeah, that's
so he's
a
not
real
talking to the
thinker.
nude woman. Yeah. Okay. Nathan Hewlin said, "Did you at least use mattress protection?" Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Lakowski said, "Oh God, how could you? I paid for brunch for you and all your white friends, you cunt."
Yeah.
That's just a guy who. Suntosh Murthy said, "First a water mattress, now an air mattress. What's next? A fucking tent?"
Tent? Wouldn't it be like a yoga mat?
Yeah, I think a yoga mat might have been better. All right, Mike, I'm going to put it up to you. Who wins this week's funny caption contest?
Well, I think, it might be Doug Carroll. I think that the couch doesn't pull out was pretty good, and it avoided all the, my first instinct was to, let's see if I could come up with something clever about blow.
Yeah.
and there were a lot of ones around below, but I thought that was I thought that one was interesting.
And it was a hat trick. He gave us 3. So, Doug Carroll, congratulations. You are this week's winner of the Sunday Papers Caption Contest.
Koozie coming your way. We got to get your info.
Send in your info at fitzdogradio@gmail.com. Next week's caption is, it is an egg next to a smaller egg, and it looks like a father and son egg, and the bigger egg has his hand over the smaller egg's eyes, and they're looking at a fried egg. So they're full eggs in their shells with feet, and then the fried egg is a fried egg with the yolk on top, kind of smirking, and she's got little legs.
Well, it's the
and
Marilyn
the
Monroe on top of the Subway grate.
Oh, and it's on. Oh, right.
It's a sunny side up egg, and the whites outside of the yolk are being. It's like the white dress being blown up. That's what's happening.
Okay, got it. All right. Send in your egg jokes. And then this guy said, have a great respect for Greg's lust for Blondie and even more for his disdain of that ridiculous lump of a loser Bumstead. I hadn't given the strip much thought as papers started to not be the normal way of getting news, but I remember the first time I saw Scarlett Johansson in a film, I thought for sure that a Blondie film was on the way. So since there's already so many existing properties, I'm surprised it never happened. A Scarlett Johansson Blondie with a Greg Fitzsimmons Bumstead? Oh, it would have been iconic. Your lips to Joe Roth's ears or whatever executive in Hollywood can make this happen. All right, we'll save this other one for next week.
Just tell AI to make it.
We've got a little Hagar the Horrible, and he's riding in his wife. You just see the two of them in a bench. He's got reins in his hand, and she goes, aren't you going to say something? And he goes, like what? And she goes, like, giddy up. Cut to a hot woman walking past their wagon that Hagar is staring at with R-A-P-E in his eyes. I mean, she doesn't look startled at all. She seems like it's normal to walk past a Viking on a deserted road, with wife or not. She seems pretty comfortable with the situation.
Yeah. I mean, it was rape at first sight, it seems.
Yes. And now we got the Lockhorns. And Leroy's talking to Loretta, who's on the couch. He goes, I used to learn something new every day. Now I forget something new every day.
It's true. Okay. I don't know how funny it is. It's true.
It's not funny. It's not funny. Leroy is...
You can save it. We don't have to do another one.
Oh, but no, I like this one. Loretta is handing Leroy something. He's got his wallet out, and she goes, here's my photo for your wallet. Seems like a good trade to me. That's cute.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Calvin and Hobbes, the 5th best one of all time. Okay. So, I guess it starts in the title box, right? First, there was nothing, ... It's just black text on white. Then the next, we see a very extreme close-up of an eye. Then there was Calvin. This is very religious in its iconography here. Then in the third one, you're seeing is that Calvin, the mighty God, creates the universe with pure will. You see this incredibly intense shot of what I guess is like a god-like figure. It doesn't look like Calvin. And it's like the Big Bang is happening in front of him as if God created the Big Bang. The next is you see a giant hand out in the universe. And it says, from utter nothingness comes swirling form. Life begins where once was void. Okay? Then the next frame, but Calvin is no kind and loving God. He's one of the old gods. He demands sacrifice. And you're seeing like an inferno type of artwork with big eyes and planets and stars in the background. Oh, man, I'm exhausted already. Then the next frame, yes, Calvin is a god of the underworld, and the puny inhabitants of earth displease him. What would you say that is, Greg?
I don't know. I lost interest about 2 minutes ago.
Is it like a satanic image of a bull or?
Yeah.
I don't need, and then there's an inferno, and you see earth in the background. Then the great Calvin ignores their pleas for mercy, and the doomed writhe in agony, and it looks like earth is absolutely exploding and on fire, and there's smoke, and there's human forms flying through the air. Then it cuts to, it looks like their house, and it's bright, and it's the typical Calvin and Hobbes setting, and the dad's like, have you seen how absorbed Calvin is with those Tinker toys? He's created whole worlds over there, and Calvin's in the background on the floor playing. And the mom goes, I bet he grows up to be an architect.
Wow.
Four more Calvin and Hobbes,
Is
and that'll
it
be
possible they
the
could have cut
last
out the
we ever
first
do of
6 frames? Could they have just showed the last one and just said, all right, let's family circus it up this week. Just be done.
I think the Calvin and Hobbes fans are like gentle souls. There might have been some trauma. They don't like surprises like jokes. They don't like no surprises is a big thing, I think. And they like it familiar enough, or if not familiar, just boring on its own merits.
Yeah, well, I think that probably classifies 70% of entertainment in this country. I don't think people the things that you and I like are probably not what most of America likes. Like when I try to sit down and watch like a talent show, like America's Got Talent, I just go like, I don't understand. If Love Island or whatever I don't get any of the network sitcoms. I don't get any of it.
No, you and I are like, I'll watch this sitcom, but like, when is one of the schizophrenic brothers going to rape his sister? That's what I'm going to sit down with my dinner and watch.
Right. Speaking of predictable, here is Dagwood and Blondie walking down the street. They've just come out of a movie theater. Wow, he goes, wow, for a movie based on actual history, that sure wasn't very accurate. And she goes, they always have to add some extra romance and intrigue to keep people's interest. And he goes, well, the more romance and intrigue they add, the more I lose interest. Well, how about this? How about you let your wife introduce a little romance into your life? How about you don't negate the possibility of loving? She's holding his arm. What? His arm is at his side while she clings to it like some fucking adult child of an alcoholic who's seeking, love from a source that's never going to give it to her. Just leave him in the theater. Say you got to take a dump and just leave him sitting in that fucking movie theater and move on.
And I know what you're thinking, Greg. If you were there, it would be the popcorn trick. And imagine Blondie's buttery hand in there. Can you just imagine it?
Oh, my God. Yeah. And, and she's got the kind of wrist action that she could get the hand in the bucket and actually work it without needing the arm. I've seen her supple little wrists.
That's what it is.
All right, listen. You guys have been so wonderful. Thanks for hanging out with us. It was a nice long one.
Yeah.
And we want to thank Chris Denman and all the folks at Midcoast Media for doing a great job. We want to thank our sponsor, Game Time. If you go to the Game Time app and you put in papers, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget. A lot
of sweet comments on YouTube. That a lot of people like watching us on YouTube.
Yes.
Do not take it away, they said.
We asked you guys last week to check out the YouTube feed, and our numbers went way up. So keep on watching. We appreciate the love at Apple Podcasts with the 5 stars in the comments. Helps us out a lot.
Sure.
Also, don't forget I'm coming to Denver in August 29th through 31st. And anything you want to promote, Mike?
Well, I wanted to hear about, where are you on the Burt tour?
Well, I'm just doing one date with them this weekend. I'm getting in the bus here in Pittsburgh. They have a show in Pittsburgh that I'm not on because I'm doing this other theater. And then after my show, I'm going to their show, getting on the bus with them and driving to Buffalo, where I will wake up.
And then are you going to go to Nashville?
I don't know. I'm doing a show that night in Buffalo, and now he's talking about going to some beer fest in Nashville the next day, but I don't know. I think I might just fly home from Buffalo.
No, it's keeping up with Bert. Bert can't even keep up with it.
I don't know how he does it. He's insane.
He really is.
All right. Well, I guess we'll catch you next week.
All righty, people. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Hey, Greggy. Hey, Mikey, tell the news. We likey, tell it all. Just throw it at the wall. So tell the news, hit the sound, turn the ship around. The news won't groove until we burn this mother down. So tell the news, tell it all. Throw it at the wall, bounce it off the ground. Listen to the sound, so tell the news, set it free. Just you wait and see. Share the dirty word. Tell us what you heard. Tell the news.